FBG Live. Living for a better today and not just dreaming about tomorrow.
Well, okay. You're listening to FBG Live out of Fredricksburg, Texas. I'm your host, Steve OBrien. Today we're going to be talking about, well, the Republic of Texas. And if you're familiar with FBG Live, that's a subject, well, we've talked about a little bit. Well, we have some new news about something that occurred on Saturday, February the 14th. The Republic of Texas was having their usual, governmental meeting where they get together and, try to chew out how the government's supposed to work, serve the people and all. And they were kind of, approached, rated. I don't know what the word would be, but I guess the meanings of the words is like bending depending upon, who you are. But what ended up happening is they went ahead and reconvened Congress to, deal with the problems of today that you face in the Republic of Texas. We live in an occupied nation. It merged with the United States a while back, and, I digress. I do want to give you a little bit of background information about the Republic of Texas, because, it's been around for quite some time. In its original form, it came to birth in 1836 after two Masons chased themselves around and occupied Mexico or whatever the hell that was. Then all of a sudden they formed Texas. It got a constitution and started acting like a government. It lasted for 10 years, arguably the dates and how people define that. And, then somehow a miracle happened, and it was merged into another nation called the Republic of the United States. Now, two countries got together, and I still have yet to found, where was the legal bearing for this to actually happen? And we've covered that previously with Bob Wilson in our, FBG Live show called Occupied Fredricksburg, where we discuss, how this stuff came about. I have the links in the comments below. Tonight I have President John Jarnecke joining us. He was elected in 2013 to, stand up for the Constitution of the Republic of Texas. His job, unlike the current presidential role that you see in the, corporate United States, for lack of a better term, is not to make laws or make exceptions. It's basically to look at the Constitution and say, hey, okay, that's constitutional. I can sign off on it after the House and, the Senate get, through the legislature. He has a few other little roles, but basically he's the gatekeeper. Gatekeeper's the wrong word. I would say the champion of the Constitution. That's the only role. It's kind of, if you're familiar with Ron Paul's version of how a president should react, same thing, man. Same thing. Anyways, John was there on Saturday, February the 14th. He'll tell us his firsthand account of what happened. But this group I keep talking to you about, the Republic of Texas, is it the same ones that formed in 1836 through 1845? Well, no, not exactly. Actually, a few different groups have, figured the same thing out. That there is not a real path for Texas to get into the United States. And so the idea of, just starting Congress where they left off is not a new one. The current incarnation of the Republic of Texas, you can see information about them over at therepublicoftexas.com. And I'm sure you'll also see it on the, older website, texasrepublic.info. You'll get pretty much the same stuff from either one of their sites. John will talk to us a little bit more about what they're doing, right? You know, and the early reports from the traditional media sources were calling it a militia, and that was kind of funny. And I know they can put that word on anything, and they're going to try, but I want you to understand the Republic of Texas is far from a militia group. It's more of a governmental organization trying to, well, bring about free Texas. It's a trip, man. So in Texas, when you look at it in today's, with today's perspective, you have the corporate United States of America. It sits there and claims Texas, and we have a Texas state governor and all that fun stuff. Well, the citizens of Texas, well, they're not citizens again. All this stuff is so crazy wordplay that it kind of gets me, tongue-tied a little bit. The people of Texas got together again in 2007. Now, you'll see remnants of the Republic of Texas going down to 94 and a lot of, crazy stuff. But this is not the Republic of Texas of today. The Republic of Texas today was formed in 2005. Loosely speaking, somewhere around there, where Congress, got back in session, and what you had was the 11th Congress. It moved on until today, where you're looking at, the 20th Congress, or the 21st. I keep getting that wrong, but it's no matter. The Congress people, they do their stuff and basically go down to Burn, Texas. What was that? Bryan, Texas, to this VFW meeting hall. And, they try to hash out what the government should look like, what's intrusive, what's not intrusive, look through the Constitution, just figure it all out. Well, this week when they came over there, they had, U.S. Marshals, FBI agents, sheriffs from Brazos County, Kirk County, Texas Rangers, the Attorney General for the corporate state of Texas. They were all there. And they wanted to stop everything, and they did. It seems like they kind of stopped the meeting and put a lull in. And, I guess that's probably where we should start, John. Tell us, what was that whole thing like? You drove from, Fredricksburg, Texas, all the way down to Bryan, and got to the VFW. How far of a drive is that?
About 3.5 hours.
Is that kind of a drive more normal for the people that serve in the Republic of Texas, or do you have a long drive?
No, there is a senator out in San Angelo that drives to the meetings. We have an undersecretary of state who is up north of San Angelo in that area. They show up. There's another, my vice president, it lives in Victoria.
So they all drive hours and hours to get to this meeting?
A lot do, yes. There are some that live somewhat close. I only have one senator that's actually about 5 miles from there.
Right. And what do we call this meeting? It occurs, every second Saturday of the month on, is it a congressional meeting?
Yes, it is a congressional session of Congress.
Okay. So you all arrived for the usual thing after driving 3 hours to get there, and it was filled with cops, or was it just kind of look normal?
No, everything was normal. I got there at about 8:45 myself, and there was one senator he was the only one that beat me there. And so we started getting in and setting up for the meeting. And
it's kind of an interesting thing when you say you get there, you get to this empty VFW hall, and you kind of rent that space from there. And the Republic of Texas has rented space and used a variety of places for a long time.
Right.
So this wasn't a strange meeting, and actually you've used the VFW before in the past.
Yes, we have.
There's a little room that you use, and that's for for Congress, and then you use the wide open space to talk to visitors more on a one-to-one thing, unless they want to sit there and watch the congressional.
Well, in the larger room, we have traditionally, that has been the meeting room for the House of Representatives. The smaller room was for the Senate.
Okay.
And then when we get together with a joint session, it goes to the bigger room.
Okay. So everything was going along normal. You're
Yes.
setting up chairs and tables and,
Right.
you know, welcoming people, you know.
Yes.
How long till, well, what did you see? Was anything different? It's pretty much a normal day until you know, convened the House, right?
Yes, it was. It went totally normal. We were setting up, getting ready to start the meeting, and the meeting was a little bit late getting started. We tried to, on the agenda, start things at 9:30, and it was about probably 20 minutes till 10 when it was convened, and you know, the gavel hit the block to start the meeting, and it started out as a joint session. The first thing on the session was to recognize our probably the oldest man that's been in the Republic.
Now, who are we talking about?
And that was Coolidge Gertis. He is the auditor.
I've met Coolidge before.
And Coolidge turned 89 today. So we had, you know, kind of a little celebration type thing for his 89th
popular.
birthday.
That's great.
And since it was Valentine's Day also, one county judge happened to have the foresight to purchase a bunch of red roses and give to every lady that was there. Give them one rose. And then we proceeded to get on. We had a past president that had a small, short video presentation about some of the things we're doing with the Constitution.
Tell me what kind of things you were going to tackle today.
Well,
or that day, yesterday.
The Constitution was written in 1836.
Okay.
And when we took the Republic of Texas government out of what is called abeyance at the 10th Congress, we started to petition for some constitutional amendments. In the constitutional amendment process, it takes 2 years to get that through. It was amended in 2007. Some of the amendments that took place at that time were about you know, blacks having the right for anything, women's rights to vote, and
the old Texas Constitution is a little bit different than our ethics today.
It was. It was
didn't allow
written that
blacks to vote, or you know, I don't know what they did, but didn't allow women to vote.
Right.
It was kind of like that class. I mean, it was 1846. I mean,
1836.
Well, when it was, you know, abandoned. I guess
1845.
Or 1845
was when the United States took us over through annexation process.
Well, just tell me a couple of the bills that we're getting ready to come on to, you know, to come up to be discussed in the House.
Well, what we are looking at is now there are various other things within the Constitution that need to be amended due to the fact that we know that there are some loopholes left within the Constitution that need to be closed to make sure that the people are the ones that have the say-so and not the government itself. And we want to close those loopholes so no other government officials can ever come back and put the screws to the people.
Okay, so, you know, I get it. A republic is supposed to be the people telling the government what to do, and the government is kind of constrained by the Constitution, right?
Yes, the Constitution is, whether it be the Republic of Texas, the state of Texas, the United States, the Constitution is supposed to be a rule book for the people who were elected to serve.
Okay. Yeah, that holds true when you're talking about the United States Constitution, too. But, of course, they don't follow the United States Constitution, but you guys work hard to make sure that you stay within the parameters of the Republic of Texas. It must be difficult because, somebody else has the land that is Texas, right? And they have, like, guns, and they just showed up at your meeting.
Yes. As before the meeting started, there were a variety of new people there that I have never seen before. And we always try to greet them and let them know a little bit about it. This one man who turned out to be a deputy from Kerr County, I talked to him and welcomed him there and told him a little bit what was going on. I says, in the small room, I am going to be over there to answer questions of new people. In this room here, which was the big room, I says they're going to be holding a congressional session. For the average person, that can be kind of boring. So I will be in the small room answering any questions that people may have.
The times that I went, I found that very entertaining, listening to what they're talking about. And, but I can understand. You have to have a lot of pre-work done to actually understand what's going on. So how long into it, the meeting?
This presentation that a past president was doing on some of the research he'd done on the Constitution was probably 10 minutes into his presentation when this deputy from Kerr County, which we found out that's who he was later, he stood up and evidently he was able to flash some kind of a sign to whoever was out in the hallway.
Yeah.
And here comes a whole bunch of people walking in, FBI. This man.
No flashbang grenades, no body armor,
none of that.
M16s.
No.
So they did know that you're a peaceful group.
Yes.
That everybody there is really concerned about Texas, where it is and where it's going, and that you're no threat. Right?
No.
One of the words that one of the news articles put up there, and it used the word militia. And people, were all freaked out about militias since the 90s when all that stuff went around about, how militias are bad and how militias are evil. But you're not even in a militia.
No.
The Republic of Texas is not a militia.
No.
It's a government. It doesn't have a militia per se. It doesn't have an army. It doesn't have a police force.
No.
Right? It's a peaceful entity working towards a day when Texas will be free again.
Yes.
How do you see that coming about? What are your thoughts?
Well, over the years, a variety of things have been tried. Court cases have been run. The first thing that was tried back in the 90s was to take it to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Okay.
And they turned it down for lack of jurisdiction.
Okay, yeah, that was one of those events that has bad marks on.
Yes.
Oh, right. What was the guy's name?
McLaren.
Okay. So that was the McLaren Republic of Texas.
Yeah.
So that thing came and went, and there was some kind of drama and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And then it disappeared.
Well, it disappeared. Some of the people that are with us today and hold positions within the Republic were there during that time.
Right.
That was just a little bit before I got involved, and they have seen saw what McLaren was doing, and it was basically a self-serving thing.
He wasn't following the Constitution.
No, not at all.
No.
And he currently is serving a long prison sentence, and I don't know where he is.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find a lot of information about that, but most of the time the people I talk to, you know, they don't give me too much when they're there, and I understand that too. But I don't really care about that. I look at that as history, you know, and how it went forward. There's been a couple groups that are trying to be the Republic of Texas, but your group has standing. You have 10 years of acting like the government.
Yes.
You have a process in place. You behave like the Constitution. You have absolutely no power in the United States,
right,
except for power in your own individual, you know, responsibility, right, and
right,
a quest for freedom and liberty. Okay, let's get back to the raid. To the raid. I don't want to rant too much about stuff. So all of a sudden, a bunch of guys in suits come in. Right?
Well, no, they weren't suits. They were dressed just like any of the rest of us.
Okay, so they were like plainclothes people.
Yes.
Did they identify themselves in any way?
Some of them did.
How so?
Well, the man from the Attorney General's office, he said who he was, and he was there from the Attorney General's office. Not all of them were identified, other than the flak jackets that the FBI was wearing.
Yeah, they loved the
Oh
gaps
yeah,
and dress.
they
didn't
got
have
off on
masks,
that.
did they?
No,
No, they were just running sidearms.
I will give them one thing. They did, for the most part, treat us with respect. To some, you know, to the degree that they possibly could. I mean, they, from what I have seen in the past and various things, they could have come in guns blazing and all that, but that was not the case. They were probably as respectful as they could be under the orders that they were operating on.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear they didn't throw flashbangs and come at you guys. But a harder thing okay, I'm still not clear with what was the purpose of this raid. They had a quote warrant, and they must have been doing a raid because they came in. I guess maybe they don't call it a raid because, you know, they didn't all rush the door at once.
No.
They infiltrated in plain clothes and then stood up and said, hey, we're here. You guys all stay here, right? Because that's what they did. They told you to stay in the room that you were at.
Right.
And what else happened? So you're in the room.
What they did, the man from the Attorney General's office, I asked him personally, I says, what's going on here? What's the deal? He said, we're here to serve a warrant. And I says, okay, who's the warrant for? Well, he would not answer as to who the warrant was for. So then he moved on to somebody else, and then this particular man, he got up and he says, everybody sitting around this table, stay here. And everybody else are sitting in chairs around the outside. You go out there in the hall, and there will be other law enforcement people who will interview you.
Okay.
So I was sitting on the outside. I'm not a member of Congress, so I was not at a table.
Okay.
So I got up as well as everybody else on the outside, and there were a lot of children there also that some people had, you know, visitors and others had brought to see.
Right, I've seen a lot of children there. You know, it can become a real family event at times.
Oh,
you
yes,
know?
yes.
Because these are regular people. They're not
right,
like, you know, you'd think that the way that they describe the Republic of Texas in the articles, that everybody comes there in camouflage and fatigues or something like that. But I was always, wow, these are just normal people, and they have smiles on their face because the thought of freedom and, you know, maybe a free and independent Texas, well, that's good on people's hearts. So you went out, right? You know, they asked people that were sitting on the outskirts to leave and go talk to some other people. How long did you stand around before they got to you?
Oh, it was probably a good half an hour before this deputy from Brazos County interviewed me, and what he asked was my name, date of birth, and all that, and for a Texas ID, and I have a Texas driver's license, just like most do. There are some that don't. And I showed him that, and he wrote down all the information. He did show me his badge and card. Mm-hmm. He would not let me touch it. He said, "No, you can't touch that, but you can look at it." So I fished for my glasses so I could read it, because I can't see anything up close without my glasses. Never did find them.
Well, it's nice they didn't slam you to the ground, beat you up at that point.
And that's why I say they were reasonably respectful.
That's really good to hear. But yeah, okay, keep going. So they asked you for all that information, and then you just stood around for how long?
Yeah, well, I mean, we were there.
Were you free to go after you answered their questions?
Not to leave the area.
What does that mean, the area?
The parking lot or anything of the VFW.
Okay. What were they doing during that time?
Interviewing other people.
And so you walked out into the parking lot.
Yes.
And so forth. What was going on in the parking lot?
In the parking lot there were state police that had their cars pulled crossways across the driveways, so they weren't letting anybody in or out. And that disrupted the VFW, because they do have a meeting themselves there in another part, and they have an open bar for VFW members. And they had a bigger room which was rented for a wedding reception.
And so the wedding reception didn't happen either, huh?
Well, it probably did after we left. It was set for in the evening, but there were people there that were trying to get set up for that. And the cops give them, a hard time getting in.
Same thing.
Right.
Who are you? What are you doing?
Right.
Let me see an ID. Are you militia?
Well, yeah. And
they didn't ask you if you were militia, did they?
No, none of them.
See, I don't know where that
to my
word
knowledge
comes from.
Well,
as far as I think it's just from the media. I don't think I've heard any of those institutions, call the Republic of Texas a militia, but maybe they. I don't know.
The mainstream press was there. They never went inside the building. They were outside filming, and I think that they interviewed one or two people. I was not one of them. And mainstream media has a way of putting words on things to suit themselves.
They like spice and they like sugar. So if they can make it feel more nefarious or sweeter, that sells better.
Yes, it does.
Dropping a word or enhancing a word.
Yes.
Okay. So how many hours were you detained? Were you being detained?
Till 3:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, and so, about 10 o'clock is where I'm thinking this all started going down, right?
Yeah.
So they detained you for a total of 5 hours, and they detained every other body.
About 5.5 hours.
And meanwhile, they were doing what? They asked the same question to all the people, or were they asking
to my knowledge, everybody that was out in the hallway were asked the same questions for ID and name and all this. When I went out into the parking lot, there were some type of law enforcement people that was taking pictures of every license plate of every vehicle in the parking lot. I found out later, the ones that were still inside, the members of Congress, that they searched them. They confiscated every cell phone, computer or laptop computer, briefcase. I unfortunately had left my briefcase in the room when I went out to the hall. They confiscated it, which, not that there was anything in the briefcase other than my business checkbook, which I don't have anymore. Okay. What they plan to do with those things, they're probably going to go through and search for something that they can find against us, which is basically nothing.
Well, there's really nothing to find, There's just, they can slander and do stuff like that, but, the truth is the truth. So, at one point, I heard that they were fingerprinting everybody there.
The people that were inside, the members of Congress, To my knowledge, every one of them was fingerprinted.
Wow. I didn't know that anybody was allowed to just stop people. And I guess under a warrant, you can do pretty much anything.
Well, the warrant, you know, and I never until today saw this warrant. And the people that it were addressed to never saw it either. Now, my way of thinking is when you have a warrant for somebody to check them out, they're supposed to be able to have a copy of it or get the warrant themselves.
Yeah.
And they didn't. I spoke to both of them. One happens to be a Republic of Texas County judge, and the other one happens to be a representative from Kerr County.
Right. And that's one of my, qualms with the current way things are run. Yeah, they probably shouldn't be doing it, but it's just policy to do that anyways. We can't do it, or maybe you have one judge say you can do it, another say you can't do it, and then everybody goes, well, let's just do it anyways, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they've certainly got more money to fight it than any of us do. So, they've got you. They're the ones with the guns.
Right. Let's see. Here's something I wanted to read to you real quick. This is from theeagle.com. The two articles that have come out, right, so far are from theeagle.com and then another, I believe it's a TV station. It's KBTX. I believe they're out of College Station or something like that. You'll be seeing a little bit more on it tonight. And I haven't seen their actual coverage of this event. They don't have it posted on their website. But this thing called theeagle.com wrote a little bit of a thing, and it said that the subpoena ordered by the district court judge that appeared at the VFW Hall on Harvey Mitchell Parkway at 10:30 a.m. Saturday, after he approved the foreclosure of the home of a Kerr County member of the Republic of Texas. That tells us why they were acting, within their two different counties. The Kerr County people were trying to take one of the Republic of Texas members, right? I guess is the right word, one of those people that belong to the Republic of Texas or whatever, however we call that. They were trying to take her home, and she did something that upset them. It's kind of weird. They're talking about fabricating documents and all that other stuff, and I haven't heard much about other people fabricating documents except for bankers. They fabricate all these mortgage documents because they don't obey their written law, and so they were going after her. And they decided to go to the Republic of Texas to get her. That doesn't make sense.
Well, I think that the so-called law enforcement people had their wires crossed, because there was a common law court that was scheduled for next Saturday, the 21st.
Okay.
And somehow they got their wires crossed and showed up yesterday on Valentine's Day.
Now, what is a common law court?
A common law court is something that was set up by people.
Okay.
It has absolutely nothing to do with the Republic of Texas itself. We were aware that they were going to do this.
It was another entity all in itself.
Right. And it just so happens that some of the people involved happen to be Republic of Texas.
Okay. Now it's coming clearer. They just really got their wires crossed.
Yes. And I think that what happened is, and this is my opinion, I think that what happened is the Kerr County probably had some authority to do this, serve this warrant, but I think that they probably told some feds and whatever else about it, and they looked at it as a prime opportunity to get into the Republic of Texas and do something. But when we showed no belligerence, and as I said before, we were treated with basic respect, they had nothing to get nasty to the rest of us about.
Okay.
So it could have been a whole lot worse, But to me, it was a very good learning experience for us. We haven't had this happen before, and I believe that it may be a blessing in disguise as to getting some of the people who are part of the Republic that are, as I say, fence sitters or also-rans, to get their butts in gear and move forward in what we are trying to do through the international court to get our independence back.
Right. Well, I know the message of the Republic of Texas is really one of freedom, right, and personal responsibility based on a republic, based under the fact that all of us in Texas need to, well, say, no, we kind of need to stop behaving like we have been and, like, focus on ourselves. What makes Texas different than other countries?
Well, I think the main thing is...
Or other, comparative states in the, corporate U.S.
Well, as what we are doing and trying to redo the Constitution in the places that it needs to be, is to make absolutely positive assurance that the people are the ones that are in control, not any government elected or appointed official.
Okay.
That it all starts at the grassroots. It starts with the people. It's an uphill, not a downhill.
Right. And if you want to read more about the Republic of Texas, go ahead to the TexasRepublic.com. Once again, that's the TexasRepublic.com. It tells you a little bit about, Texas and what's going on, when the next meeting will be. So that was it. It was basically, they hauled you off and fingerprinted a few House reps, and they did nothing else, or did something else happen?
Well, there was one senator had heart problems, and they had to have EMS come and haul him off to the hospital.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that was...
Thank God they didn't use shock and awe techniques.
Well, yeah, that was Senator Wilson. The man's 78 years old.
Oh.
And he's been not the greatest of health for a long time.
Right.
And all this just kind of got to him, and he started having chest pains, so... fortunately...
My heart's out to Bob, man. I've talked to him many times. You can see a link to Bob Wilson's first conversation with me on this, on the comments below. He's been talking about the Republic of Texas for a long time. He's been on many shows, and it's really sad that had that kind of an effect on him. I heard they confiscated personal property
Yes.
and searched cars and did all sorts of other stuff. Is that true?
Yes, that is very true.
How did that come about?
Well, they said they had the authority to do it, and they did it. Some of the people who they confiscated property from got a receipt for their property. A lot of us didn't. When and I never knew they grabbed my briefcase until I was ready to leave and went to get it, and it was gone. And as I say, the most valuable thing in that briefcase was my business checkbook. And it's gone. I don't know who has it, even.
Yeah, I wonder what the course of, retrieving your personal merchandise would be. I wonder where they're going to be stored. Is it in Kerr County or,
That I don't know, but I did get an email today or this morning that part of what was confiscated, there was about $7,000 worth of gold and silver coinage that they also confiscated.
They took money too.
Yes.
They always like to take money, any kind of cash laying around.
Well, it was what we call medallions, silver,
right.
and they're not in conflict with with the dollar or
Yeah,
anybody else's currency. They're
medallions. Right, and they're custom fabricated with Republic of Texas stamp. They're more of a collector's item than anything else. They have an intrinsic value, of course, silver spot or gold spot, but they also have very limited runs and are coveted and collected.
Well, and it's basically on a pre-order type thing. I mean, there's probably $5,000 worth that the auditor has on hand, but it's basically through orders, and then once enough money is in for a mint run, then they will have that money run and go from there.
Right. It's not like, that's kind of crazy. So we did get impacted. Man, they took cell phones, computers, your checkbook.
Well, it was in my briefcase, which they grabbed.
Everybody got treated the same. All materials over there, your PA, your sound system.
Well, the PA and the sound system, they left. We still have it.
How is that
I don't
logical
know.
whatsoever?
Well,
okay, I get it. They're not logical.
No.
What next, John? What next?
Well, we are, after we were left the VFW, there's a senator that lives up there in that area, and we reconvened at his place of business.
Okay.
And discussed what happened, what our next course of action is, and try to get everything regrouped to go together. We will not be allowed to go back to the VFW.
They didn't like that?
No, it totally upset them.
Too bad.
Which is understandable.
I understand that too. It's a shame that they behaved that way. Man, but they're obviously, they're mistaken. They're mistaken on a few different fronts. That this is I don't know. Maybe they know it's peaceful. They didn't come in and do the SWAT thingy.
Yeah, but it disrupted what they were doing.
Sure.
Because the VFW, I'm sure, makes a good bit of their ongoing operating money by renting out rooms, and especially this wedding reception that was supposed to take place there, and it was getting real close to messing that up.
Those married couples, when a last-minute glitch happens, that's probably very traumatic.
Yeah, just like here a few months ago, I guess
Obama
we heard that
in Hawaii?
Yeah, Obama disrupted somebody's wedding so he could play golf.
Right, shut the whole thing down. The guys get married some other day. Obama wants to play golf. Yeah, but the Republic of Texas doesn't even have the power to do something crazy like that. It's a subservient government. A government. Here I go preaching republic nonsense again. And I'm not talking just regular nonsense. I'm talking any republic, right? Republics are wonderful forms of government. They're different than democracies.
Oh, exactly.
Right. I see our government currently, the one that is, overall North America, the corporate U.S. or United States, however they want to call themselves, they are a democracy that is run by allegedly two parties, and you get to go into Party A, Party B, and Party A and Party B own the media system and all this other stuff, so you get to vote for which one of the two that they like. And the states don't get to control much. You have different things that are imposed on the states. You can take a look at the recent, what do they call that, Affordable Care Act, or some like to call it Obamacare, right? Obamacare kind of fits. But the fact is that they made extortion legal, right?
Yes.
They extorted everybody that lived, within the parameters of the country to have to buy insurance from, a peddler, right? It's a numbers game, man. Insurance is totally a numbers game. They're like, here you go, and you sell people insurance, and they may never ever use it, but they may do it, and it sounds like, I don't know, it feels like a loan shark to me. I don't like the insurance system. I don't like what they've turned the Well, I don't like what they've done with the hospitals and medical care in the
Right.
United States. It's terrible having the government involved with deciding what's good for you and what's not good for
Right.
you. In a model of like the Republic, do they have some kind of far-reaching ability to say stuff like that? Like the FDA will say, this is safe, you got to allow it. This
No.
is not safe, you can't allow it.
No, there is not. And if something like that ever comes about, which I rather doubt, I would say that it would be kind of like what they do on electric, UL approved or whatever, a private entity determining whether something is good or bad, and then letting the people know, rather than having the control of the government. You can't have the government with their fingers in anything that involves the people,
Right.
to a basic degree.
I don't know. I've had these conversations with different people that we tried to, this is with people that understand the Texas Republic idea of a republic, and just regular people trying to get their hands on what should a republic do and what it shouldn't do.
Right.
You look at, the Bill of Rights in the United States Constitution, right? That grants people rights. Well, I don't know. It doesn't really grant you right. It just says that they are there and they're unalienable. The Constitution is a framework for controlling. This republic, the Republic of Texas, that was established in 1835 as its own guidelines that have been amended once before.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the process of re-amending them, waiting for the day where, and working towards the day that Texas is free.
Yes.
You're sitting here, you agreed to come on the radio show to talk about the Republic of Texas. That brings Texas independence one step closer.
Yes.
But as far as this thing that happened, yesterday, February 15th.
14th.
Thank you. I do sometimes miss 10 or 15 beats in a row. It's kind of crazy. But where do you go from here? I know it's kind of business as usual / annoying type stuff, right? Keep your eye on the ball, keep your head down. There ain't really anything happening. But you also got, they took your stuff. They took a lot of people's stuff. And they're doing an investigation. They stole, I don't know that they stole yet, right? Because the whole truth is they take something and sometimes they give it back, and maybe they're actually planning on giving it back after they read everybody's, Twitter statements and, go through a bunch of stuff. And I'm sure they'll have a lot of interesting reading. And I'd like to appeal to them or anybody that's listening to this show, to look into the Republic of Texas. You can find the Republic of Texas at thetexasrepublic.com. They also have a sister site, or the older site. It's kind of a skull and bones hanging out in the interweb. But hey, they're consistent. You'll find the same stuff at texasrepublic.info, because when you talk about the Constitution, hey, you're kind of a broken record. You say the same thing. What are the controls? On the website, you'll find, things like, the different counties in the official Texas Republic,
Right.
the parameters, the guidelines, the Constitution.
Yes.
Wow, it's kind of crazy. You've talked to some other people over that were at the Republic of Texas event. What are their views on going forward? Are they trying to get their property back, or are they just throwing it away? What do you think?
No, every one of us that had property confiscated will do our utmost to get our property back.
Okay.
But I'm pretty positive that the cops, whoever has it, is not going to release anything until they go through it with a fine-tooth comb to see if they can find some incriminating evidence or whatever on somebody.
God.
Hey,
I've seen a couple of couple people's computer over at the Republic of Texas, and I got to say, I would not want to be an investigator, going over computer forensics because, well, a lot of them file stuff like me, the chaos filing system, so you don't have everything, all organized. I was thinking about that, somebody sitting there with a bunch of hard drives, and usual forensic techniques have them yank the laptop out of the hard drive, make a clone of it, a copy of it, then you set the laptop aside in a little baggie and mark it and so forth. And then you go through and find all the information that you can, look through all the Word documents, recordings, files, emails, if you can get them, passwords, and yada, 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 whatnot. And man, that's a lot of work. I know the times that I went, I think 3 or 4 people brought their computers there. And how many people showed up at this event? Was there like 20 or
No, I
40,
think that there
30?
probably altogether there was probably 50 to 60 people there.
Okay, so they probably took 50 phones and 3 or 4 computers, a bunch of gold. They left the sound system.
Gold and silver.
Well, at least you guys can continue talking.
Well, that's about the only thing we've got left, and the determination is to put together a press release from everybody that was there and get this out to the world, basically, or any English-speaking world. And I want to bring this up, the video or the documentary that was done by the Russia Today network about a year and a half ago has been interpreted to whatever the language is in the Ukraine, and it's in the works to be interpreted in some way through other languages so other people around the world can see what it is. I've not had any personal contact, but I understand through the people of Russia Today that the Ukraine says, "Way to go, Texas." So,
well, it'll be interesting to see if this is anything, if this is nothing, what is it? It doesn't sound like they even did their job right if they're looking for another group that's doing mortgage stuff within the United States. There might be crossover people, but hey, I talk about a lot of stuff. Am I guilty of being occupied, blah blah blah, just because I went over there and I talked to them? I'm part of Republic of Texas because of blah blah blah. Am I part of Chevron because I buy gas there? Maybe I'm simplifying it. What's important before closing? We got a few minutes left. What would you like to say?
Well, Hawaii is in the same process that we are to get their independence back, and so I don't know if they have gone through some of the same things that just happened to us yesterday or not. I'm going to guess that they probably have, but we have a somewhat of a working relationship with the people in Hawaii for independence.
Okay.
And we will continue that and escalate it as best we can.
I've never even seen any writings on the people in Hawaii.
It is available on the net, and I don't have the various contacts with me at this time.
Yeah, that's okay. I kind of wanted to keep us focused on this.
Yeah.
But the last few minutes are yours. Don't let me chime in.
Well, there are other countries within the world that have gotten their independence. Look at the Baltic states over there that got their independence from the USSR, and we are studying a lot of the things that they have done, and are trying to go forward with it and improve on it as we get ready our case to the International Court. Now, there are probably 100 different international courts. In the last 3 years that we have been studying how to go about it, we have discovered, narrowed down the choices of courts that we go to. At this time, I am not at liberty to divulge that because you don't know who's listening and going to try to preempt what we're looking to do.
Okay.
But it is in the works. A couple of years ago, there was a survey done within Texas, and about 80% of the people in Texas wanted to get out of the United States. Obviously, not all of them are part of the Republic of Texas, but we're looking to do a teaching thing as much as we can to get them on board also. And, the further we go, lack of funds is the biggest thing we have.
Well, I think that's everybody's problem, right?
And, if we had loaded up with all kinds of money, yes, we could make a bigger impact.
Sure.
But we don't. So.
Well, that's good. I've heard some other stuff about, countries going to the World Court, but I guess I'm gonna save that for another day, because, today I want it to be about, the Republic of Texas. It's been around for a while.
Yes.
It was around a long time ago. It went away, and it's back. It's still here.
Yeah.
And, wow, we might be closer to freedom. Do you think this helps or hurts?
No, I think it helps, because as people become more aware of what we have been doing and what we are being put through, especially as of yesterday, this so-called raid or whatever it's supposed to be. A lot of people know things, but it's in the back of their minds, and until something becomes very apparent, they are fence sitters. They don't know. Well, yeah, you'll never get that done. But when you do, I'm on board. But they don't want to. They don't want to cross that line yet.
Right. So they always wait for a reason to get involved or do something.
Yes.
What's important for the Republic of Texas currently? If a person wanted to get involved, they'd go to thetexasrepublic.com, look at stuff. And I know you have senators, House reps, a variety of positions that are still unfilled in some of the, areas.
Yes. And they're always for qualified people who are looking to help this cause of freedom. They are always welcome wherever we will be meeting next. Everybody's welcome. It's always open.
Right. That's what's kind of weird, right? I heard somebody say, well, they must have a mole or something. I'm like going, man, they're the most transparent thing that I've ever seen, right? The government's defined to be transparent, right? It's supposed to be. And I've walked in this and I've walked in that, And, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy.
On the website, the new website, and it's still still under construction.
They're always on.
But they will have access for the people to get in touch with any of us who are elected or appointed within the government.
That's nice.
So we will have that. I don't know if my ear can handle all whatever phone calls may come, and emails and that. But it's the people's government, not ours.
Elected officials, they're not currently paid a salary.
No.
Everybody's on their own dime. This is one of those things.
We do a budget every year. And no one has ever been paid. We all have high hopes someday.
Right. The Constitution says that you have to get paid, doesn't it?
But none of us ever have. We all operate on our own dimes. We phone use, everything is all on our own dime. The travel expense, everything we pay for ourselves. And the reason we still do is because we believe in it so strongly that we will sacrifice our own income or whatever in order to get there to make it happen.
Man, it's a trip, man. I mean, seriously, when you look at where we are and in the world geopolitically, countries invading countries, and fights going on here and there, and just to hear of an organization that's just standing there and saying, "Hey, we're here, right? We're the government, right? We're not this other government that has control structures that are putting on, thinking that freedom is doable." I don't know what it would be like to live in a republic. That's crazy.
And Senator Wilson coined a statement several years ago, and it's totally correct. No one alive today has ever lived under a true republic. So it's a trial and error thing how to get to that point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'd like to say, well wishes, Bob Wilson. I hope you recover well and you join the ranks. I'm sorry to have that shocking event hurt you. I know you've contributed so much to the cause of freedom and liberty. For all you listening, first I'd like to thank John Jarnecke, the President of the Republic of Texas, for coming on the line, and just talking about what the Republic of Texas is. You're listening to FBG Live. You can find our stuff out on the internet. I'd suggest you go to a search engine and type in FBG Fred Baker George, LIVE. We have a website, but, that needs to be updated. And, we all sing the songs of not enough money. But this time we're singing the song about, hey, freedom might be a little bit closer. Or perhaps tyranny might be a little closer. I don't know. You guys tell me. Take care.
For the